Hi, my name is Alia Lancaster, and I've been at UMD since 2012 with the Division of IT since 2016. The whole reason I'm in Maryland at all is because I started a PhD program at UMD, and the reason I stayed is the great people and interesting work in DIT. In 2012, I began my PhD in second language acquisition and a graduate assistantship at what was then called the Center for Advanced Study of Language, now known as ARLIS. I learned about and conducted research on the cognitive processes adults use when they learn a second language and how we can leverage that to help people who want to learn a new language quickly. I kind of knew going into my PhD program that I didn't want to be a professor, but what I loved most was the applied research. So when I saw a research and assessment analyst position advertised in DIT, I applied for it, and the rest is history. In my time on the Academic Technology Experience, or ATEX team, as a reporting and analytics manager, I get to take the analysis and social science skills I learned earlier in my time at UMD and apply them to questions about technology usage. For example, how much is Elm's Canvas used? Well, it depends on how one defines the construct of used, and luckily defining constructs and variables is something we do a lot of in the social sciences. So while I don't come from the traditional background for someone in information technology, which is typically computer science or software engineering, those of us on the ATEX team use our diverse backgrounds to step outside of the day-to-day operations to offer different perspectives and ask questions that may have otherwise gone overlooked. My team and I examine the experience of students, faculty, and staff with academic technologies, such as Elm's Canvas or Panopto, and do database communication about what we find. While data from these systems can tell how many people are, for example, watching Panopto videos, it doesn't explain why they are doing so, or how having recorded lectures plays a role in their learning. That's one way my team steps in to bridge the gap. We use surveys to learn about TERP's perceptions and opinions about our academic technologies and triangulate that with data from those systems. And trust me, TERPs have a lot of opinions, but we love getting qualitative data from surveys, as well as talking to students in our DIT on the Street video series. This is where we uncover what it really means to students or instructors to have these tools and why they use them. Because my background is in behavioral sciences, I also partner with faculty who are interested in using data from an academic technology and using it to answer research questions. Recently, I'm working on a project with two brilliant faculty from the College of Education to investigate the effectiveness of a generative AI virtual study assistant. It was built by DIT staff and can be turned on in an Elm's Canvas space if an instructor wants it, and answers student questions specifically about anything in the course, like when an assignment is due or content covered in the slides last week. Before turning this cutting-edge tool on for all of campus, we're researching how effective it can be when instructors turn it on versus when they decide to leave it off and do business as normal. This research will not only inform how UMD instructors can best use this tool moving forward, but is also one of the first research studies to represent a broad group of disciplines and students. We also do a lot of data communication, which is where we take information we learned from analyzing the data from surveys and technology systems and make sure it gets out into the world. Because what good is it if no one knows about it, right? Part of what we do is take all of that really complicated data and turn it into facts to let TERPs know about a service or a tool. Hopefully you've seen some of them on the screens in ESJ or on DIT social media pages, and if you've seen us out filming DIT on the street, come chat. We love hearing from the campus community and making sure our data and reporting accurately reflect their experiences. I want to talk about the Academic Technology and Innovation Systems and Services Report. This is a whole suite of reporting products that my team and I regularly produce that incorporates 30+ data sources about academic technology, systems and services. We spend a lot of time collecting, cleaning, analyzing, interpreting, and visualizing the data to produce over 185 metrics on a public-facing website, a magazine, dashboards, fun facts, the DIT on the Street videos, and digital signage. Just to give you a preview, we definitely have a lot in there about Elm's Canvas, one of the biggest data sources we work with, such as how 89% of courses at UMD were published on this platform in spring 2025, or how 94% of students logged in during that semester. But that's not all. We also report that in spring 2025, we found that TERPs, mostly students, watched 21 years worth of Panopto videos. We found that over 50,000 alternative format files were downloaded using Ally, which is a relatively new tool that allows students to, for instance, download a PDF as an audio file. Plus, we report on the things that aren't strictly academic, but are still essential to learning, like the fact that on a typical day during the spring semester, Terps host over 3,000 Zoom meetings. Also, we need bandwidth to support all these calls and videos, so recently, DIT completed a huge Wi-Fi refresh to improve the performance and connectivity for 46,000 users that connect over 70,000 devices each semester. So why do we do all this? Well, we want to show the UMD community that we're being good stewards of the tools and services by reporting back on how we know they're being used. And internally, we make sure different teams within DIT have this information when they need it to make data-informed decisions about what to do next or how to personalize a training for a specific college or school. Hopefully I've hyped it up enough to you, so if you're interested in taking a look, please check out the website at it.umd.edu/analytics/systems and services. Something that one of the data engineers on the ATEX team, Dr. Martin Clark, once said sticks with me. We're trying to automate ourselves out of the process. And what he meant by that is we're always trying to improve our own internal processes for collecting and reporting on the data about academic technologies. Not so that we don't have a job, but so that when, say, a new research project comes along or we're asked to add a new data source to the report, we have the bandwidth to do that. So what the entire ATEX team is constantly working on is doing what we normally do, but better. Shorten the time on our data ingest, automate our data processing pipelines so that we can take on the next great opportunity that comes our way. And so far in my 9 years at DIT, there has never been a shortage of interesting and impactful analytics work. Thank you.